What is up, Deadlockers? It's time to chat Lash. So, I didn't really want to create a beginner's guide. There's tons of things out there already that are talking about the concept of Lash and what his moves do and everything else like that. This isn't a guide for people that want to learn how to play the hero from scratch. This is a guide for people that want to think about more advanced concepts with him and understand how he wants to play the game. So, Lash is, in my opinion, the strongest character at the moment. Well, up until the recent patch, which we will probably release a tier list for this, but overall I think he is the full package and he can do absolutely everything. What do I mean by this? So, Deadlock as a game is similar to many other MOBAs out there. Obviously it requires some aim skill and movement and stuff like this, but actually, really the core concepts of MOBA are still within that, which are pushing waves out, gaining farm, building up momentum, and then obviously taking objectives such as towers. Lash does a lot of these things extremely well. He has an amazing wave clear, so he's able to push a wave extremely quickly at low risk. He's able to jungle creeps and stay extremely efficient with the way that he farms. And the best part about him is he's able to move around the map at lightning pace in order for him to be able to take the advantage wherever he can. If a lane is being pushed on one side of the map and he's the other side, he's able to get there very quickly without too much requirement for any of the map movement objects such as the zip line or the teleports and things like this. So, how would I categorize Lash? Now, a lot of people look at him as a bit of a bruiser. Sometimes someone that is going to get into fights and he gets built a little bit sometimes around tanky items to survive. For me, I don't look at him as this at all. I don't even think he's a carry. I don't think he's someone that wants to play the game like any other character. For me, he's what I would dub an opportunist. So someone that is looking to find opportunities, not only just on the map, but also in lane, for ganks, for kills. He's not someone that does this sustained damage. He's someone that picks and takes his opportunities when he can. So like Pocket, and a few other characters as well, but Pocket's a really good example. Lash is someone that can take very invasive, dangerous areas of the map. Because his mobility and his escape is so good and so strong, he's great to be able to take the farm that other people cannot take. He's great for pushing up waves that feel dangerous to every other character except for a few, and be able to live whilst doing so. So his concept in the game is extremely unique because he's able to take really complicated portions of the map that are contested highly and then easily get back for pick-offs or for team fights or anything like this. So amazing in this way. One of the most versatile heroes, in my opinion, and it's not just like certain moves that he has. I think he can fill the gaps in what your team aren't doing. If your team hasn't got much wave clear, he can go out and clear waves. If your team aren't very good at ganking or trying to grab pick-offs, then he's amazing at hunting and going for kills. If your team is lacking a little bit of team fighting, you can even build Lash so that he's able to use his ultimate very effectively in team fights. Or there is the opportunity to use that as a save as well. Interrupting team fights, interrupting big ultimates, very strong. And then also you can rat towers. You can go a little bit of gun damage and make sure that you're taking extreme farm from difficult areas, pushing waves out, and then ratting towers from behind. So he can kind of do it all, and that's why I ranked him S tier in the recent tier list that we produced. So let's talk laning phase. Lash is not the best laner out there, and actually I think this is probably his weakest area, is his laning in general. So he has one of the worst level 1s in the game. He's kind of useless, and out of the gate you should be pretty evasive and set up for a potential strong level 2 or level 3. His gun damage and gun animation isn't that great. It's okay. It's like a burst, so it's not like you can pre-spray the weapon and hit for great denies or great last hits. It's along the lines of some other heroes that have like these one-shot bullets because it's a small burst. The good thing is it's because it's a burst. If you miss slightly on your first shot, you can move towards getting one of the shots to hit, and obviously you only need one to get that last hit orb or the deny orb. This leaves him in a very weak position in lane. However, at level 2, normally you hit level 2 at like 450, 500 souls if you're doing okay. If you're being extra denied, maybe not, but that's really where you want to get to, and you have a pretty strong level 2 spike there. If at 500 souls you get yourself extra charge, and then you've got your grapple and your ground slam. This is where you can look for opportunities to take 30, 40, 50% of someone's HP. If they're pushing up a bit too far, you can go in, you can slam, you can do a bit of gun damage, and you can retreat. You can do this a few times in the lane, knocking 30% HP off of them each time, at least, until they're pretty weak. And then at level 3, you have real kill potential. So with 2 levels on your 1, a level on your grapple with extra charge, hopefully you've got something like close range or mystic burst, and then finally you've got your whip as well, so you can do extra damage from that too. This makes his level 3 spike extremely strong, and you're able to take sometimes 50-60% of someone's HP down, depending on where they are in the lane. If they're close to you in the lane, you're able to then trade very, very effectively, because you can go in with 1 charge of your grapple, slam down, use your whip, and also take a hit them with your gun damage. This is really, really, really strong, and sometimes you're able to get kills when someone's at like 50% HP. This is really, 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 really powerful, and this is why I think he's an opportunist rather than anything else, because you play the lane pretty passively, you get pot shots off here and there, but then when you see that they are, getting low, you're able to go in and get almost guaranteed kills if you're able to execute on your spells. So super, super strong. Ultimately, that means that his where you want the wave, it's a very specific thing that needs to be timed with when your certain spikes are in lane. His core spikes being that of level 2 with extra charge, and then level 3 with maybe mystic burst, close range, and extra charge. If you can get those 3 items at level 3, 3.5 or so, you can almost guarantee yourselves to find an opportunity for a kill. So that's very powerful. If you're in one of the middle lanes, or if you're in a solo lane, you're able to gank as well. So that extra charge is able to push you into being able to have enough movement to get across the lanes. Sometimes you can buy extra stamina early. If you want to roll between the lanes and get there quicker, you're able to do that, so you can have extra charge and extra stamina. All of these things are depending on whether or not you're going to be able to get gank opportunities, depending on if the lanes have been pushed very heavily in the favour of Lash throughout the start of the early game. So where do you want to keep the creeps in your lane? So Lash, in my opinion, massively benefits from space to kind of leap around. So you kind of need to set the lane up ready for his level 3 spike. If you're looking to get a kill and you've taken a couple of pot shots, maybe the enemy's at 60% HP, which I find happens very often, and most people don't buy regen in the game at the moment. They might in the future, but right now, not as much as that I can see. So really what you want to do is to get the lane pushed closer to your tower as possible, so that you've got enough room to jump across the creeps and down into the enemy. This is a perfect situation for you. So At level 2, if the lane is pushed a little bit closer to your to their tower, you want to be clearing that wave as quickly as possible in order to push it into the tower to reset the creeps. And you want to be doing that ready for your level 3 spike. The best way to do this is that you can push the wave out really fast, clear it really quickly. Hopefully you've got enough to buy, go back, buy the item that you need, ready for the spike. If the lane is in the middle, so it's sort of teetering at the reset position each time, I like to hold back a lot. And a lot of the time, enemies can't really help themselves. They'll hit the creeps a couple times here and there, and it's going to get pushed. So your lane's going to get pushed. You're going to have it in a really ideal position, which is just before your tower, and then you can sit back and deny. I just focus on the denies there and concentrate on that. So at 2 minutes, you will be level 2 or level 3 and have the chance to invade their jungle as well. So there's 2 options here with Lash in order to get the jungle creeps, because obviously if you can take away the jungle creeps from the enemy, this is really, really powerful. So you want to make sure that you're across the map ready for this. The best part is that you can either clear waves very fast, push them into the tower and then go to jungle, or you can do the opposite where you let the creeps push into your tower. When there's a gap between the 2 creeps starting to come down the lane, you can run over, grab the jungle camp, and then jump back to the lane very quickly. This is really powerful because normally you have to make a decision on whether or not you're going to get jungle camps or you're going to get the lane creeps. But with Lash, because of his movement, you're able to and AoE wave clear and camp clear. You're able to clear the camp really fast, and then get back to lane very quickly in order to clean up the rest of the creeps that would have eventually started to get low. Super strong, because you'll be able to take farm from the enemy that you shouldn't be able to, and most characters don't have the option. There's maybe only one other character that can do this, and that's Pocket. Pocket can also do the same thing, where he's very quick at clearing the camp, and he's able to get back very fast too. Lane matchups. Lash is very weak against early pressure characters. So if heroes of a very strong level 1, so think Kelvin with the grenades, Dynamo with his stun, Pocket with his quick get in and also AoE damage, Lady Geist with her grenades, Paradox with his beam, Grey Talon with the arrows, right? If they're that strong at level 1, you're going to have a very bad time. You're going to have a really tough lane, because what they can do as characters is put a lot of pressure on you from the outset and push you back to a position where you're not getting any last hits and denies, and then you're not able to take advantage of your level 2 spike with extra charge. This is really powerful for these characters, and if you are playing one of these guys with very strong level 1, you can set Lash up to be very behind at the level 2-3 spike, where you're able to deal with it. And you can buy items to make sure that you're not going to take the spirit damage. All of a sudden you're in a really strong position. To me, if you can negate that lane and the opportunities that Lash gets, you can really push him back to his mid-game and post-laning phase being very weak in comparison, and having to, instead of going out there and getting difficult farm, actually what he ends up doing is, taking more slightly safer farm and going jungle creeps on your side, on his side of the map. This is not how Lash wants to play. So when I say that his lane matchups are weak, if you're able to inert that pressure at the start, you're talking about really negating the character from being able to play the game the way that he wants to play. So the longer it takes for him to get 500 souls on level 2, the longer his game, it's an escalating issue where over time that's going to become more and more of a problem. He really needs to be hitting these timings early, and if you can stop them, then you really slow him down. If you have very long range as a character, someone like Paradox, even Wraith and Haze, etc., you really want to focus. You really want to focus him down as much as you can and take pot shots and try and go for those kills. What you should be doing as a Lash player to deal with people that have a lot of range is to just purely focus on getting those 500 souls. Before I start the game, I think to myself, do I want to be taking pot shots at the characters in the lane, or do I just really need to focus on getting those first 500 souls and getting level 2? If I can get the 500 souls in level 2 against a really difficult lane, I'm winning. I've won that lane. It doesn't matter what the stats say at the end of it. Oh yeah, they've got, you know, X amount more last hits than you. It doesn't really matter too much, because you know that your momentum as Lash is level 6 and onwards, really, right? Like that's when you start getting a lot more momentum. You're able to do more difficult things on the map, and then obviously your massive item timing is rapid recharge. And the moment you get that, all of a sudden, the game is a completely different game from the viewpoint of Lash. If you've got enemies that are closer range but have still got a good level 1, like Mo and Krill, Dynamo, etc., you really don't want to trade with them, because obviously they're going to be able to outtrade you, especially someone like Mo and Krill, who's able to do damage and heal. You really don't want to be trading with these characters in lane, so you want to take a step back. Lash's gun is not that weak that he can't take the step back, that he's then not able to then shoot across and get last hits and denies from afar, right? So he's very much an evasive character at the start of the game, and he needs to be evasive for at least until he's got the escape / opportunistic toolkit to do some damage here and there. Obviously, if they run into your face, you can still use your spells, your ground slam, etc. But just remember that any item that you buy before the extra charge, and any item that you have to buy after the extra charge that is to negate the difficulty in lane, is going to slow you down on the other timings that you have across the board. So you really want to play the lane pretty evasively against anyone that has a very, very strong early level spike. There are some other heroes that really don't have those early level spikes either, and those are the ideal lanes for Lash, because his spike is not late and it's not super early, it's right in between, enabling him to take those opportunities as and when they come. There's many times where I've been able to jump straight into fights at level 2 or level 3 and really takes a push and put some pressure on the lane, and then immediately follow that up with a kill, because they don't go back, they don't buy regen, or they don't do anything to negate my damage, and you're able to then go in and take some kills. So now comes to when Lash hits level 6. So Lash's ultimate is, as I've said in previous tier list videos and other places, is probably the most versatile in the game. There's so many things that you can do with it. And when he actually dings 6 and gets his ultimate, you have a lot of options around you. So really at that point, level 6 is when you want the lane pushed as close to you as possible. The ideal position for the lane to be when you hit level 6 is the creeps hitting at your tower, which sounds counterintuitive, but in reality you want them so pushed up that if the enemy is close-ish to those creeps to get the last hits and the denies, you're going to be able to get on top of them and then ulti them straight into the tower. And this is, that's like the optimal situation. This situation really doesn't come very often unless you become very good at like manipulating the lane and the waves. So in reality, you have to think about some other potential situations. As long as the creeps are close-ish to your tower or on your side of the lane, you'll be able to get yourself a kill with Lash's ultimate. You can still do it when they're under tower and a few other things. If you hit 6 first, that's when you can potentially outplay under their tower. But if you don't hit 6 first, you definitely shouldn't be going over there to try and do something like stylish, because in reality you're going to get punished, especially as you get better at the game and you're playing with better players. You'll get punished for this, so I wouldn't make it a habit. You do also have the other opportunity. Let's say if your lane is heavily pushed into their tower and you're trying to take a bit of tower damage, but they're still there and they're defending, you can push a wave out. Know that your wave is going to hit their tower, and at that point they haven't got vision on you, they're not able to see what you're doing. you can then go to another lane and then make something happen there. Obviously look at your mini-map, understand if there's any lanes that are pushed up, try and make your way towards them, and you should be able to get a kill from there. Lash has got good movement, although they did nerf his sprint speed from 3 to 1 in the last patch. In my opinion, that's to stop his momentum. His momentum is extremely strong, and I think they did that at the start of the game to stop him from being able to get from one lane to the next lane extremely quickly, to stop him from snowballing at the start of the game as much. And I think it had a big impact. But obviously, if you get the right items, some sprint boots, obviously if you get extra charge so you can get in and out very quickly, he's still a huge threat, but he's just not as much of a threat as previous for ganks. If you don't make a play with your ultimate, then you're probably missing out a little bit on a big window there, a big timing window. As the game goes on later and later, there are going to be more items, more spells, more situations that negate your ultimate for ganking and picking off. So really you want to try and make use of it when people haven't got these great items to stop them from, taking damage or from being hit by your ultimate. So really you want to try and make that happen early.
Nice.
Mid-game. Lash is probably the best at this point, and he's extremely powerful when he needs to be. So he really excels at playing away from the team. Something that a lot of players seem to play Lash as, and that I've noticed, is that they will play around the team thinking, oh, okay, I can chase, I can get people with my ultimate and move them out of position, I can make things happen. The issue with playing him like this is that you're not utilizing his full kit, right? Like the whole reason that the hero is extremely strong is because of his momentum and his quick wave clear. Really what he can do is he can push towers, and he can push waves out so far that someone has to come and deal with it. If not one, maybe two. At that point, you're so quick that you're able to move cross map and make something happen elsewhere where you previously were. This is really, really powerful. When your ultimate is up, you want to be looking to try and create these difficult situations for the enemy team and advantageous situations for your team. So you want to be pushing directly down a lane, clearing a wave, and then managing to get back onto the zip line in order to then jump across the map. I do this all the time, like non-stop. You jump across the map, you make something happen elsewhere, with your team, with your ultimate. If you don't have your ultimate up, maybe you've just used it to secure some kills, or maybe you fluffed it and now it's on cooldown. You want to be looking to still be pushing out waves, but instead of going back to the team, you can then run home efficiently through the jungle, clearing creep camps as you go. Obviously, this sort of concept works for a lot of different heroes, where if one of your big spells is down and you can't use it, you always want to be looking at efficiently farming through the map instead of having to do something like try and force a team fight when your ultimate's down, right? Like there is an issue I see with a lot of players that are trying to force too much fighting, when in reality they should be using downtime as efficient farming in order so that when their next ultimate is up, they've got a bigger spike of items that they're able to then utilize. So ultimately, you want to be playing away from others. Lash absolutely excels at taking aggressive farm on the map. The dangerous farm that other people just cannot touch, and if they do go and do it, they're going to get killed. There are a few other heroes that do this too. Pocket, Wraith with her teleport, Mo and Krill to a point, as long as you've got Fleetfoot and are able to move quickly. I think these are all heroes that are able to take aggressive farm on the map. And at the moment, in my opinion, the aggressive farmers are kind of winning out because they're able to push these towers that are very weak, and they're able to push them with just creeps alone. You can clear a couple of waves, go and take jungle creeps, go and join the team for a gank, and the creeps will take a quarter to a half HP off of the walkers, for example. This is, I think, in my opinion, this is overly strong. And I think the meta at the moment is based around this. There's a lot of ratting, there's a lot of people. Lash absolutely fits into this, and he's able to essentially rat towers whilst your ultimate's down, and you don't want to join the team fight. Playing Lash, you shouldn't be staying in one place for too long. If you're just barreling down a lane all the time, and that's it, you're not really playing him properly. You should be between lanes, using your huge mobility and causing slower heroes to have to buy items to either deal with the fact that you're moving around a lot, or to increase their own speed to try and catch you. Although you're not necessarily a tank, you absolutely suck up a lot of attention from the team, wherever you are, right? So if you're playing away from your team and you're pushing in towers, you're going to be taking attention away from 1, 2, 3 heroes to come and deal with you. If they can't deal with you, which most of the time they can't, it gives you an advantageous position for your team to be in. But also, even when you're in a team fight, his ultimate is such a threat. The whole enemy team needs to be very careful when you're going in. They kind of need to disperse, and if you go in and kind of fake pump your ultimate, you don't actually have to use it, but you can fly over above people. This technique is really, really powerful. It gives you a lot of scouting. You can see exactly where everyone is, and you can call it out to your team. You force them to disperse so your team can get together and push in, because they're worried about your ultimate coming in and doing something. And then finally, you do actually have the threat of your ultimate if the enemy team are all together, they haven't noticed, and you've got a great ultimate on the go, and your team are ready to rock. You hit it, and that's an amazing way to play Lash. I kind of see him a little bit as a vision scout here, and if you're in a situation that doesn't feel good, you're able to then go in and then come back out. This is extremely powerful, and I think a lot of people overcommit. They'll overcommit because they've launched themselves in. Really, you should take that step back and go, is this actually a good time to ultimate, or is this a good time to go in? If the answer's no, there's nothing stopping you from turning back round and grappling a teammate and getting back to your team. And I think this is extremely, extremely powerful. No other hero in the game can do this. It gives you so much scouting and vision over what people are doing, and it really, really allows your team to make better decisions on what they want to do when they approach and when they attack. In my opinion, Lash is the absolute king of peel. Not like orange peel, that's weird, but peeling off characters from their team fight or their team ball. Really, in the mid game, when you hit that item spike, so you've got extra stamina and rapid recharge, you're able to really create these ridiculous situations where no one's going to be able to get you unless they've got hard lockdown or slowing hex or whatever it might be. But even slowing hex, you can roll and roll and roll and roll, and then grapple away, right? So he's extremely difficult to catch. That means you need either a hard lockdown character to deal with it, so a Wraith, Dynamo, Mo and Krill, etc. They've got to go and deal with him and then use their ultimate abilities on him and him alone. Or the other option is that you have to send a few people, 2, maybe 3 people, to go and catch him and deal with him. And there isn't really another character in the game that requires 2 to 3 people to go and completely deal with him. Especially even from behind, Lash can do this. Once he hits that item timing of extra stamina and rapid recharge, it's very, very, very tough to kill him. And he can do so much damage from such a height with his one. He's able to completely demolish waves, pushing creeps. It's very, very annoying. Very, very annoying to deal with. So if you're playing him like this, you really, really, really open up the map for your team. And think of it like this, right? If there's that much pressure on the map, what can your team do with it? They can do loads of stuff. But the interesting thing for you is that you're in control of making the decisions of what you want to do. If they send one character to go and deal with you, you can kill them 1v1. At this point in the game, he's very, very strong. And you need to use your mobility and jumping around to throw someone off from being able to cast their spells and also do a lot of damage with their gun. So you're able to then like jump around, be in control of the situation 1v1 and pick them off. Anytime anyone turns around, Lash is basically, you've got them. If they turn around and run at any point, it's over. It's a little bit like Ricky Maru in Dota, where his backstab does more damage. Although Lash doesn't actually do more damage, the moment you've got them on the run, you've got them, because you will outrun them and you will catch them, so that it's over. The best way to deal with Lash that you can is to try and stand your ground and do some damage. If he can take a lot of damage from the air or whatever it might be, all of a sudden, as a Lash player, you have to make a decision on whether or not you do actually want to trade this and go in. Because you not being on the map means the enemy team can regroup and they can really, really focus down a lane and wipe a team. So you have to play this very carefully, and as a enemy player, you should be looking to stand up to Lash and try and do something to him. The way I like to play at this timing point is to be able to push 2 waves. Once you've got these 2 items, you're able to then push 2 waves in, because you can get between them so quickly that you're able to push both of the waves in. And then you've got 2 waves constantly pushing into the walkers. And then you're able to then get to the team if you really need to, right? So Lash has got this ability that nobody else has. And really, if you're playing him as a solo and solo queuing, in my opinion, he has the most impact in the game because of this, because you're able to push these two lanes worth of waves out and get back to the team for team fights if required. There is no other character that can do that. It's insanity. It's a little bit broken in my opinion, but that's up for the devs to deal with. And that constant back and forth of like, oh, we've got to deal with Lash. Oh, he's at this lane, he's at that lane. It kind of makes the enemy team scramble to deal with you. Like, a lot of the time, especially in these pub games, you're going to end up having situations where the enemy team will only send 1, maybe 2 people, and they don't send the strongest, or they don't send people that can really deal with you, that have got a hard lockdown, and you're able to get a couple of pickoffs. And at that point, the game's kind of over. Like, if you're able to take 1, 2 people out whilst you're barreling down a lane, your team are then free to do what they want. They'll probably push another tower, because you're going to get a tower kill, a walker kill. They're going to get a walker kill. Potentially, if you've been pushing 2 waves, then you'll get 2 walker kills yourself. It's going to be tough to lose a game like that. You've put your team in such a great position that unless they really royally mess up, like you're going to win. In terms of 1v1, he really is able to take a lot of people because of the mobility. Like he's not a stand and fight you person. Again, opportunist. He's able to go in, do some damage, jump around for a bit, evade all of the right clicks, etc. Well, not right clicks, we're not playing Dota. Evade all of the gun damage, and then jump back in and then hit them again once your cooldown on your spells is done. And then you can use your ultimate to finish them off if required, or whatever it might be. He's very good 1v1. In fact, he's very good 2v1 and 3v1 because he's got so much momentum and movement around the area. It's very hard for people to use skill shots, do any direct gun damage. He's very evasive. So you want to be playing like that, in the air, jumping down, coming back up, going back in the air again. Like, people really don't know what's going on, and you're the one in control. You've got the bird's eye view. You can see exactly what they're doing. You can pick off someone who's weak. You can come back up. You can do it again. He's very strong with these 2v1, 3v1s. And the best part is that if you feel like it's really not advantageous and you're not even able to get a pick off, or you're not able to get any kills, you just leave. You just bolt. And boom, you're gone. Ultimately, the rapid recharge and extra stamina, or the very extra stamina, the superior stamina, these names, huh? So ultimately, when you get the superior stamina and the rapid recharge, you are the strongest hero on the map, regardless of the game. And actually getting it right at the end of the game, like if you've got a relatively decent timing, let's say from 12 minutes up to 20 minutes, if you're able to get those two items at that point, you are the strongest hero on the map. No one can contest you, no one can do too much, and he's extremely powerful, pushing waves and really taking control of the game, and escalating your own farm by pushing a wave out, clearing jungle camps, pushing the wave out, taking a pick off, or pushing the wave out and going to rejoin your team for a big team fight and winning it. Amazing mid-game hero. So what stops him? Really, it's hard lockdown. Some of the better heroes against him are Mo and Krill. That hard lockdown pretty much shuts him down. And obviously you can catch him because your movement is so fast underground, especially with some items. So you'll be able to catch Lash, unlike many other heroes. Wraith is another really great one against Lash. She's got the movement to be able to catch him once. And when you do catch him once, you're able to then punish with your ultimate. And I think she's really great at like doing a lot of damage to him and standing up to him too. If you just stand your ground and you get like bullet life still, you're able to actually really hold your ground at his opportunistic moments. And if you can hold one of the opportunistic moments and stand your ground and hit him with bullet life still, you will kill him. He's not someone that can like be in a sustained fight. He's not that guy. What he loves doing is going in, doing damage, and then leaving, and then taking another opportunity and going in again. If you force him to stand up to you're going to win every single time, which is why Wraith, Mo, and Krill are really good. Another hero that is also fantastic against him, but doesn't get talked about it too much, is Paradox. I think Paradox is probably his hardest counter, and although she hasn't got a hard lockdown for him, she kind of does with the swap. Obviously it stuns you as you're rotating through. She's extremely strong against him. You put the wall down, he has to run through the wall to do any damage. His gun damage is pretty weak anyway, but being moved all the time and slowed and all of these other things really messes with Lash. Getting hit by one carbine and then swapped into the team, it slows his movement down so much that he really struggles to do anything. If these three people are the ones that they're sending to the lane to deal with you, you're going to have a tough game. And actually you may have to think about, okay, I need to push a wave and then very quickly leave and very quickly watch the map. If they have a few of those heroes on the team, you really need to pay attention to the map to make sure that the ones that you are looking out for to show on map are Wraith, Paradox, Mo, and Krill. If you can't see them on the map, then you shouldn't be taking the aggressive farm. So they really usurp his mid-game, and they really make you have to think a lot more around pushing waves, because they're the ones that have got hard lockdown for you. They're the ones that are going to deal with you. Really, you want to be paying a lot of attention to if they're showing on the map before you're taking that aggressive farm. Finally, in the late game. So really, spirit and gun damage is relatively viable in Lash, and also building a lot of tanky items too. A lot of people build Veil Walker on Lash, which I think is a great item and a great option. Here's why I think it's overrated on Lash. He doesn't run through little alleyways and through the map that often. Actually, what he does is fight a lot in the air and go in and out. And he's more of an opportunist in specific team fights, that he's not able to then get down, run through a veil, and then come back out and jump up in the air and carry on. Really, the only time that I see Veil Walker being extremely useful is, if you're having to reset those shields over and over again, but doing it so, you go in, you do a lot of damage, and you escape on minimal health, you leave, you go back to the jungle, and you run through Veil Walker, and then you go again. Now, I see the use case in this, but I think that it's not required in many of the cases, and actually, a lot of the time you're able to do the damage, and if you play well enough, you're able to not have to need the shield up all the time in order to do the damage. Really, he's meant to be evasive, and you're meant to be not taking that damage in the first place by having the most superior movement on the map. So if you're having to then regenerate your shields all the time, in my opinion, you're doing something wrong a little bit because you're taking too much damage. I get the concept of having Veil Walker so that you're always up and ready at full max protective potential every single time you go in for one of these fights. I just think it's slightly counterintuitive to the way that Lash wants to play. Really, I think someone like Pocket is way better suited for Veil Walker, and actually I think that they nerfed Veil Walker because it was too early for, and it's before Lash got his other item timing of rapid recharge and superior stamina. He was able to do the same thing. That was a problem, and I think it makes a complete sense that they've moved that item down, because it's something that's very powerful, but it's very powerful on certain heroes. And I think someone like Mo and Krill, Pocket, people that are going to be ganking, but they're ganking on a flat playing field and they're running in between different lanes through all of the alleyways and stuff like that. I think that item's better suited for them. Do I think you should never buy it? No. I think it's still valuable in certain situations when you need a shield. If they've got a heavy nuke and they've got a massive wombo combo like a Grey Talon or someone like this, or a sniper, sometimes you need that shield up. In order to not die. Those games Veil Walker is useful. In my general opinion, his ultimate isn't a team fight ultimate. This is probably like a bit contentious of a point. Unless you've got a huge wombo combo with Dynamo or some of the other like big AoE stuns or AoE damage or whatever, I don't really think his ultimate is this huge team fighting, oh my god, you're going to change the game. Now, it can be in certain, again, opportunities, if there's like these little opportunities that you get, he can change the team fight around. But also the core thing that I think he's very, very good at is interrupting their team fight. If they've got a Dynamo, if they've got these big team fight ultimates, you're able to get on top of the whole team, pull them all up, allow your team to get away, get back, regroup, etc., and then you throw them away or you throw them to your team or whatever you want to do to hamper the way that they're playing. This is really powerful, and I think this is how he gets used, and how I certainly use him in the late game. And I'll be honest, that's only if your team fight is not good enough that you need to do that. If you've actually got a pretty decent team fight, for me, I think he's far better used to go and pick off some of the enemy damage dealers that are sitting and floating around in the sky.
Taking you out. Here I come. Won't you get it? To his rep.
Something that I never see Lashes do that I really think is super broken and super amazing. You can completely and utterly negate Vindicta, Grey Talon, etc. from the backlines by jumping over everybody, finding them in the sky, pulling them to the ground where they really are weak, and jumping directly down onto them and doing damage. Most of the time you can kill them straight up, like from full to zero. This is extremely strong, because right now there's not many characters in the game that can properly deal with the Vindicta and Grey Talons. And actually that's why we put them S tier, is because really there's not many characters that can get up there and go and get them. Lash is the character that can do this, so he should be. Your role in team fighting is taking out the backline damage dealers that are fragile and that only have one escape mechanism, which is being in the air. You can go in and you can grab them and you can pull them down. I do it over and over and over again, and it completely negates these characters. It never lets them come online. They're never able to do any damage, and if they don't build massive defense items, they pretty much don't stay in the team fight for more than 10 seconds. This is the most powerful thing. The other area as well that he can do extremely well is, like, let's say that you see someone in the sky, but your team would be able to deal with them if they were on the ground. You can go up, you can grab them from the sky, you can throw them down, you can leap over them to people that are running, people that are escaping, people that are trying to get away. Lash is the specialist for catching people that are getting away or trying to get away. This means you can do your job of grabbing the person that's doing damage and push them out of the sky into the ground. You can leap over them and you can go and catch anyone else that is pissing around, and you don't even have to worry about killing the person you've pulled.
Hit me.
Let's go! Teach them
This is epic. This I do often, and I think there's not enough Lashes that are thinking to themselves, what's my role in said team fight? If your role is to disrupt the team fight, they've got a dynamo, you need to wait for that dynamo ultimate and then you need to grab him. If your role is, okay, the Vindicta's doing too much damage, you need to go and get her when she goes into the sky and throw her to the ground. It might be that Haze is doing a lot of damage, you need to grab her, you need to push her down, you need to stun her, or you need to chase her. There's so many options. The things that he isn't very good at is dealing with big tanky players. That's not really his specialty. So the way to synchronize this well and make your team play as best as they can is to make sure that you've got someone that's going to do a lot of damage on tanks. And then obviously the other option is to, and this is a bit of a last resort, but to go after some items like Healbane, Siphon Bullets, and a few of the other like anti-tank items. And then the problem is, really as Lash, you don't want to be standing up against someone and hitting them. He really doesn't do that much damage that way, and also on top of that, he's very weak to it too. So if he gets caught doing that and kind of like standing up to someone else and facing them one-to-one and being in a sustained long fight, you're going to lose, right? So really your job is not to deal with the tanks, your job is to interrupt ultimates, your job is to go on the back lines, your job is to get pickoffs when they're running away from team fights, your job is to manipulate everything around the team fight. But going on the focused character, that's absolutely never your job, and really you should try not to do that and should leave that to your team. I'll run through my build. My build is available on the build section of the interface. So I've called it the Bladder Lash Guide Build. So I start off with the early essentials. As I've said, in lane, close quarters, extra charge are kind of your key items. It depends on what you want to do with those. If you think you've got opportunity to kill, or at least take pot shots, take damage, go and get the aggressive jungle camps, extra charge is the first item. If you feel like you're getting pressured too heavily, because obviously to play against Lash in lane, you want to put that pressure on, and really you just need to get yourself some trade mechanic or some last hitting capabilities. Close quarters is good enough for you. And then finally, Mystic Burst and extra stamina, very nice items to get in the early game. Extra stamina allows you to roll away enough, so you're able to use just extra charge for height and damage. And then you can roll away to safety. And then obviously Mystic Burst gives you a small spell shield and damage, just like Close Quarters provides the bullet shield too. Basic magazine, Sprint Boots, Mystic Reach, they're all kind of optional. And Sprint Boots, like, are very useful if you're running in between lanes. Otherwise, they're not so useful. Otherwise, I omit them sometimes, because if I'm having to focus on my lane and my lane's actually very tough, Sprint Boots is kind of irrelevant. You've got getaways with extra stamina and you've got getaways with extra charge on your grapple. Sprint Boots are irrelevant. So Mystic Reach, maybe Basic Magazine, depending on last hitting capabilities, but that's really what you want in the lane. Early upgrades, like the ones that you want to go for as quickly as possible, Mystic Shot is really nice, because obviously if you're an opportunist and you're trying to get opportunities to get some damage, what's the best item that's going to do a little bit more burst damage from your gun? It's Mystic Shot. It's going to do, on its first hit, a lot more damage, and if you're trying to get those sorts of opportunities to do a bit more damage and to burst them maybe 50% of their health, Mystic Shot is perfect. So you want to be playing with Mystic Shot most of the games. Slowing bullets are, if you feel like you're going to be able to get them running after your initial combo, and they haven't got much escape but they're going to run, slowing bullets is going to allow you to do double the damage that you would have been able to do if you hadn't have bought slowing bullets. And that's when it's better than Mystic Shot as the first item. Because if you think that you're able to hit them once your combo's over, Mystic Shot becomes less valuable, and slowing bullets becomes exponentially more valuable. So you want to be picking that one up in lane. Then you've got Enchanter's Barrier, which is an amazing item for him early game. It stops you from getting nuked from all of these big spells, Grey Talons, etc. And Pockets and anyone else who's got like a really big burst of damage. But also it allows you to do more damage when you've got it on, when you've got a spell shield on your 1 and 3. So ultimately, as an item, it's really, really powerful for you. I think it's almost a kind of mandatory item to pick up. So yeah, I like to grab it most games. It's just, when do I get it? If I'm getting nuked down a lot in lane, then I can get Enchanter's Barrier, and maybe I might even buy extra regen or whatever it might be in lane to make sure that I'm able to deal with all the nukes. So here's some of the early optionals. You've got Healbane if they're a very tanky character and they're relying on healing. So that's Mo and Krill, or it's the Hellboy guy. I can't remember his name now. Abrams, or as a friend of mine calls it, Steve. He calls him Abraham. So there's that. Then you have Bullet Armor and Spirit Armor. Obviously these are self-explanatory. If you're getting bashed up in either one of these, then you want to be heavily taking some of the armor. Slowing Hex is really, really powerful for him to make sure people can't get away from your combos. And actually you can cast it in the air. So sometimes I'll jump, cast Slowing Hex in the air, then I go down with my ground slam. It's very, very nice, and it also gives you a little bit more spirit damage in the early to mid game. Improved cooldown, self-explanatory. You can do all of your stuff a lot more. And then Reactive Barrier is an absolute must-buy against some of these lockdown characters. We talked about Mo and Krill. We talked about Hayes. Hayes, actually. We didn't talk about her, but if you get slept by her, Reactive Barrier then, obviously stops you from dying to her ultimate or dying to anything else, so you can get away. And then it wastes her ultimate. Wraith, if she ultis you, you're probably going to survive if you've got Reactive Barrier in the early game. It's really, really strong, and I think it's an absolute essential pick when you've got these kinds of characters there. Anyone that's doing some sort of stun, some sort of sleep, you kind of need it. So I pick that one up a lot more than you'd expect, because I see a lot of Wraiths, I see a lot of Mo and Krills, and it completely negates their ultimates and allows you to play the game a little bit more safely than you would do normally. It allows you to push down those waves even if Wraith is missing, because likely if she ultis you, you're going to get away. So very, very, very powerful for this. Obviously the mid-game essentials. This is superior stamina, rapid recharge. I've actually got these this way around, but they should technically be the other way around. I just didn't really think carefully about when I put these items on here. But rapid recharge is the absolute first buy that you want to get in the 3000 zone. Then superior stamina. Once you've got these two items, people think, I need to get a lot of damage items. Lash's damage comes from height, and once you've fully upgraded your ground slam, it does even more scaling height damage. So the higher you are, the more damage it does when you hit the ground. This means superior stamina and rapid recharge are your damage items, and they're your farming steroid, and they're your escape and survivability and tankiness. They are all of that wrapped up into this package, right? So you need these. These are absolutely, unequivocally essentials. And until I started buying these items on Lash as absolute firsts, my win rate was pretty poor. And then all of a sudden I started to understand, and I've now played well over I think 200 games with Lash. He needs these items. They are 100% his items. Then you can go for some core damage items. So improved burst is just amazing on all of his spells because they're very bursty, right? So you can get a lot of damage out of those. And remember what I said about Mystic Shot, adding extra burst. You want that burst, right? You want to be able to really nuke them, get out of the fight. Really nuke them, get out of the fight. Every single time you go back in, improved burst is up again. So it's really, really strong. Improved Spirit obviously is a no-brainer because you kind of want to move into Boundless Spirit later. It's a nice build-up item. Obviously, you don't really get you can get the initial extra spirit in lane. If you're getting the time that I get that is when I'm having a bit of someone's harassing me, and I want a little bit more regen, then I'll take the extra spirit because it gives you 1+ regen. And Lash has got a pretty decent regen. I think it's 2 or 3. I think it's 2 per second. It's one of the stronger regens in the game in the early level. I think they know that he's going to take a lot of damage, so you need something. But extra spirit's a decent buy in the early stage if you're getting harassed. Sometimes I'm getting so heavily harassed that I buy extra spirit and extra regen right at the start of the game, just to make sure I can survive a lane from all the harass. So yeah, improved spirit comes into play, and superior cooldown again. It depends on how you want to use it, but I normally get this on my Q. I think having it on your Q allows you to, sorry, not Q, your 1, Dota. Having it on your 1 allows you to constantly be doing your ground slam every single time you've got a charge of your grapple. The thing is like the charges are, if you've got rapid recharge, you've got a lot of charges to play with, so you're kind of then bottlenecked by the amount of grand slam. Sounds like Wimbledon tennis. You're then bottlenecked by the amount of ground slams that you can do, which means superior cooldown really kind of like goes perfectly with your 1, so that you're able to, every single time that you then grapple over someone, you're able to ground slam. This is super, super powerful. So then some mid-game optionals, some nice to haves. Surge of power for obvious reasons. Every time you ground slam, you're going to have better movement, and it also does a bit more spirit damage. Improved reach allows you to get further, but it also increases the cone size of your ground slam and other, and your 3, the regen or life steal. Well, it's not life steal. It's just it does damage and then gives you heal. That's also got a ridiculous range as it is, so having improved reach on that is very powerful too, but ultimately you want it on your ground slam again. Point blank, toxic bullet. So point blank is really powerful for Lash, just to do more more bullet shield, so he's able to tank a little bit more, but also again you're going to be in their face, so having extra damage at the start of that is very, very powerful. Toxic bullets, I buy this if I need to. I don't buy it every time. Mainly because if you're having to be the one that's shooting the tanks, there's going to be a problem. But that doesn't mean that you can't assist with that with some toxic bullets. So I do sometimes buy this. It's rare, but there are occasionally games that I need it. Improved spirit armor, improved bullet armor. We all know why this is. Torment pulse. Yeah, this is a nice item for farming, but it's also a very nice item for if you're actually able to stay in fights a little bit more, or let's say you're becoming a backline damage dealing specialist, like you're having to go in and get them from the sky or whatever it might be. Torment pulse is really nice because you get 2, 3, 4 torment pulses off before you have to disappear. At this point it's a pretty nice item for that. I don't really get it very often. It's only when I need an extra burst of damage, which it does provide, so sometimes I use it. It depends. Veil Walker, I would say I buy a lot more than Torment Pulse and Toxic Bullets. I think Veil Walker is extremely nice, but do I think it's the best item and an absolute must-have? No, not at all. I think everyone else seems to put it in their guides. I've explained my reasoning for why I don't think it's the ultimate item. You can go back through and listen to that. But it is a good. It's not a bad buy. It's a great buy. It's just not an amazing 100% must-have. And Fortitude, I think, is a slightly better item than Veil Walker, because it works without having to go through veils. So you can go jump straight down, hit a load of people, take a load of HP damage, leap out, and then after a while of not being in combat, boom, you regen pretty much up to full, you go back in again. I think Fortitude is a slightly better item than Veil Walker most of the time, but this also depends on if you're getting fully nuked down or if you're not. It depends on the mechanic of that. It depends on if you're thinking about mid-boss, because Veil Walker becomes very, very relevant for mid-boss because you're able to go to all of the different alleyways, chase people, etc. It's a very nice item if you're setting up for mid-boss, so it really does depend. And then late game essentials, I've got Boundless Spirit. Inhibitor, I've put that as essential, but it's not really essential actually. Really the only essential one to me is Boundless Spirit. I think Boundless Spirit is absolutely amazing. Inhibitor is obviously good, you know, stopping them from doing damage, slowing them, making sure you get more damage, giving you more HP. Very nice item in general. Frenzy, again, it's just an item to give you more damage. Spiritual Overflow, same thing. Siphon Bullets, I think, is very necessary if you've got a few tanky characters on the enemy team. You know, if you've got like a Mo and Krill, a Dynamo, a Bebop, or even someone like, I've seen Paradox go with serious amounts of HP. If you need to deal with her, Siphon Bullets is very nice too. Unstoppable, if you're getting kited or stunned or whatever it might be, this item is amazing. It's going to allow you to do your job, which is to go in and get those backline damage dealers. So if you feel like you're not able to do that and you're getting stunned or you're getting kited or whatever, Unstoppable is 100% the pick that you need to get earlier than all of these other ones to allow you to do your job. It's all about doing your job in the late game. Curse, similar sort of thing. It's about you trying to do your job. If they're getting away a lot, you can curse them and stop them from getting away. Silence them, whatever it might be, allows you to do a lot. And then I've got Diviner's Kevlar in here. If you feel like actually your ultimate is being really, really powerful, then you know, and you're able to get it off, but maybe you're dying or whatever it might be. Diviner's Kevlar really stops you from dying when you're using your ultimate. So yeah, I think it's a great item if you need the ultimate to do a lot of team fighting, a lot of saves or whatever it might be. Diviner's Kevlar is 100% the item to pick. So that's it. That's my ridiculously long guide on some more of the advanced concepts of Lash. Hopefully you kind of got a better understanding of how to play the character and how to think about him and what he should be doing in the game. I think in terms of playing him, he's probably one of the most fun heroes once you get this down. Being able to like just run around and Spider-Man across the map, go and catch people when you really shouldn't be catching them, and also even doing things like you get the opportunity to think a lot on the fly, and I like that about this character. You know, he's not that linear. You can really, once you get the hang of him, you can really move. He feels like a Super Smash Brothers character. You know, he's not got these like set combos like Ryu from Street Fighter. He's more of a freestyle, use stuff as you can, make up your own combos on the fly. He's that kind of character, and I think in the documentary on for Super Smash Brothers, someone said that Smash Brothers is like jazz, whereas all of the other fighting games are like classical music. I would say that's a little bit similar for Lash versus most of the heroes in Deadlock. He's the jazz player, you know, he's the one who's making up the music as he goes. Whereas a lot of the other characters have a very set way of playing them, they have a very structured way of playing them that seems the most efficient. Whereas Lash, you want to build and dominate the game on all of the gaps where your team aren't doing, and dominate the map and make the map yours and your team's. So he's a super fun, super cool hero. I highly recommend him. Yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed my guide, and yeah, let me know what you think, and maybe I'll do another one on some of my other specialist heroes. Thanks guys, see you later.